What's up, guys? Jimo here again with RefinishNetwork.com, and today I'm going to be doing a bit of work on this Dodge Ram 1500. I'm going to be doing a little blow-in on the back corner of the cab, and I'll be spraying the box side after I'm done that. So I'm just going to mask it off real quick here, starting from the inside out. I will be doing the jambs with some 3M foam tape. Now I prefer the transfer tape. It leaves a bit of a cleaner edge, but I didn't have any handy, so what I'm doing is using the 3M foam tape, then masking it up with this 3M gold paper. It has to be specific to Waterborne paint because that's what we're using, so it holds up properly, and then just some plastic sheeting to protect it from clear overspray. So the way I'm going to lose my clear is off of the edge, which would be considered a back mask. So I'm blending my clear on a style line. So what I'm doing now is just kind of flaring my tape off that line so it's overhanging the edge, but I want to make sure it's not sticking past the edge and going to create a hard line. I'm also back masking that edge that's running towards the top of the vehicle as well. So I kind of have two separate back masks going on here. And since I'm using a dark primer here, it's going to cover pretty quick. One coat, it's pretty well done, but I'm going to be applying two anyway. So there I am, just using my trusty Iwata LPH 400 with my orange LVX tip. And I think I'm spraying around 27, 28 PSI. And when you're doing a back mask, you always want to be careful when you're spraying your paint around that edge that you flared off. Even though it's flared off, if you put it on too wet there, you can kind of create a bit of a hard line, so you want to kind of dust it on a bit more when you're dealing with that edge. So here is the second coat going on, and you can see that light coming from beside me somewhere. That's the 3M sun gun, and it's just helping me make sure that I have full coverage, which I'm pretty sure that I did anyway. But it helps me see the panel a little bit better because the booth does not have the greatest lighting, unfortunately. And worth mentioning, anytime you blend clear off a style line, it isn't technically covered under a paint manufacturer's warranty, so your shop would actually own this, and if that failed, you'd be responsible for it. But having said that, I've never seen one fail, but generally these are done as more of an economical kind of repair. And here we are ready to apply the clear, just running over it with a tack rag that's going to remove any nibs that may have landed on the surface. And I'm going to just take a moment here to adjust my tape. I'm going to kind of just gently pull it back with my finger, trying not to touch the paint surface itself. And it'll just kind of roll it back a little bit to make sure that my clear is going to fully cover my base. And I apologize, you might hear my kids yelling in the background. I generally do these voiceovers from home, so it kind of just goes with the territory. But here I am applying the clear now, and I'm going to ease up on the edges. So I'm going to try and not put it on too wet, especially on my first coat. And then just like any other job, I got to make sure I cover my base coat completely here. So here's the second coat going on, and generally when you're doing a spot repair, you're going to be using a fairly quick clear. And that's what I'm doing here. So it flashes off within a few minutes. And I'm going to try and just taper my clear off in both directions, where I'm going to be blending the clear out along the flat part of the panel. And then on the line, I'm pretty well just spraying it normally at this point. So your second coat goes on a bit wetter than your first one once you get up to that edge. But again, you don't want to really hose it on there, or else you can get a hard edge. So generally it's best to apply your blending solvent right after your last coat, and I'm using an aerosol here. They do have ones that you can put in a gun, and they have some that you can mix in with other clears. I did a training course on spot repair with BSF a while ago. It was quite a few years back actually, and at the time they recommended that you use these products straight up, but then a few years later they recommended that you mixed it in with a catalyzed clear. So I don't know if they really have decided what they want to do, but you know, check with your manufacturer, I guess, and the products you're using. I guess an aerosol I can't really do that with. So on my lines like this, what I like to do is pull the tape off and just kind of hit it really lightly with the blending solvent. Some people just skip this altogether. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't, but I don't know, I find you get a little bit better results doing it this way. So here's the end result of our back mask, blow-in, spot repair, whatever you want to call it. Turned out pretty good. You can probably tell why I like to do all my filming in the cross-draft booth. The lighting's way better. The footage does not look very good in this downdraft, but it's hard to beat the sprayability in here. The jobs tend to come out much cleaner, but I guess regardless I have to polish it anyway to create a smooth transition from the new clear coat onto the old clear coat right in that area there, and at the bottom going down the rocker as well. So as I was mentioning earlier, these are kind of more of an economical repair, and there's only certain colors you can get away with it on, like blacks. I mentioned in my other video, you can pretty well butt match any black paint job, you know, door to a fender, whatever you have to do, and nobody's going to really know the difference. So same with backmasking. You can backmask a line when it comes to a black vehicle, and you know what, there's very, very few people, if anyone, that's going to be able to point that out. So I'm on to the second part of this job now, which is this box side here. You can see I'm all spiffy and snazzy there wearing my nice white paint suit. I've been taking a lot of heat in the comments section about not suiting up, and I guess rightfully so. It's a good habit to be into, wearing your paint suit all the time. Keeps the jobs cleaner and protects your skin from being exposed to these chemicals and absorbing it into your body. But here we go, applying the paint. You can see I have a dark primer and then there's a light primer, so I'm actually going to be putting it on a bit lighter over the dark primer and a bit heavier over the light stuff. It isn't exactly by the book, but you know, I'm just going to kind of push this stuff here and see what happens. So like most of my videos, this is BASF Waterborne RM Onyx paint, and soon I will have to be switching to a DuPont line of Waterborne paint. I do have a bit of experience with the solvent stuff, but never really the Waterborne. I've heard a lot of good things, but I'm not too familiar with that line, so if you have any notes about that or comment suggestions, let me know about them. And what I've done here is I sped up the footage, as you can probably tell, but this is the paint drying, and this is without using the blowers, and it took 11 minutes and 20 seconds for it to be dry enough to put on the next coat. Well, completely flashed off. And if this were in my cross draft or any area that didn't have this kind of airflow like in my downdraft booth, I'm sure it would take about twice as long to do that. That's kind of my number one complaint when it comes to RM Waterborne paint. So here's the second coat going on, and I try to put it on the same way so I can have an equal playing ground when it comes to comparing with and without the blowers. So I'm going to put it on a bit heavier in the prime spots and then a bit lighter over the rest of the panel. So again, I've sped up the footage here and kicked the blowers on. And in real time, it takes 6 minutes and 34 seconds with the blowers on for this to flash off. So it's drying in almost half the time it would without the blowers on. So I'm ready to apply my clear here. I'm going to use my SATA RP as usual with my Glazrit 923-222, which is more of a production clear, but one panel jobs, it's pretty good to work with. And I've had a lot of people ask me why I only put on 2 coats rather than 3. I tend to just follow the tech sheets for the products I'm using, and Glazrit, most actually popular paint lines I've come across, always say 2 coats of clear, and some will specify to put on 3 coats if you anticipate some heavy polishing. So if there's a lot of dirt or texture, whatever, you need to sand it down and polish it after, you'll be losing some thickness, so they recommend putting a 3rd coat on in that case. But other than that, they usually just say 2 coats, so that's generally what I follow. And sorry, I don't have footage of the last coat or really any after shots of this job. I forgot to clear my SD card out when I went into the shop, and I ran out of space after this coat. So my apologies, you'll have to use your imagination at this point. But I can show you guys these moose antlers we had to do some repair work on. Did a bit of fiberglass resin work, and they're going to paint them white or something. I'm not really sure what they are for, but I'd have to imagine it's going to be moose related. So leave me your comments, questions, that sort of thing below, and we'll see you next time.